My name is Dakota Pike, and you're listening to the Better Ideas Podcast. What's up, guys? Today's episode is very interesting, and you guys are going to love it because I loved it, and you guys are awesome, so it just makes sense. But Will and I are going to be talking to our new friends, Derek and Aaron. Not Will's new friends, but I guess my new friends. Will's known them for a really long time. But these guys are essentially tribesmen that go by the Varyags, which is a group of heathens based out of Kansas City that like to get together and practice pagan traditions and heathenry and connect to their roots and essentially move ancient traditions and incorporate them into their modern everyday lives and try to live mindfully with nature and their surroundings and just try to be. They are very intentional guys, and I really respect that about anybody just who knows what they want. They know what they want to do, and they do that, and they focus on that. And these guys are they're very into sticking to your word and challenging yourself. And I think that the world could stand to learn a little bit from this idea of going out in nature and just recognizing that you're human and we all really kind of need the same things. So, yeah, the conversation is along those lines, and just how technology and civilization and mental and physical health and all of those things relate to essentially modern society and the way that we're all living now. And, maybe we could incorporate some ancient beliefs. I know a lot of us already do, but I definitely learned a lot in talking to these two heathens, and I know that you guys will too. So without any further ado, here are our friends Derek and Aaron, the Varyags. Yeah,
Slightly following in your father's footsteps.
In a way, yeah.
I remember doing this exact same thing in a different setup in a garage years ago.
Yeah. Essentially the same formula, just different meaning.
Yeah,
That's kind of funny how that works.
Dude, well, that's actually a really good place to start it.
Yeah, it's a good segue.
You guys got some background. You guys have known each other.
That's
and
what
I
had
for years and years.
Yeah. So how did that happen?
I was a youngin', actually.
Yeah.
You guys know my sister.
Yeah.
It's kind
hanging out with your dad doing random stuff like this was some of the best times for like us, because we were like
I taught everyone how to shoot their cigarette ashes into a 40 ounce from like across the room. They were just like astounded by my knowledge.
fuck yeah.
Dude,
it's funny how that comes full circle.
Right.
Like, shit.
Yeah, it's crazy. Years later, doing the same thing.
What do you know? We're happy to have you guys, for sure.
Now his dad's just like kind of like a go-to. Him and I will talk back and forth about our gear, and he airs the show actually on his station type thing. So
it really does go.
It's a very symbiotic relationship. So
Bill's still doing it too, man.
Yeah, he runs he re-releases old episodes, specials he recorded and whatnot. He kept them all. And,
really sweet, dude.
Yeah, dude, it's fillers every now and then. I guess he's been just like downloading our stuff or his stuff that he's done independently and just broadcasting it in addition to his regular stuff. So
that would be insane to like rehear like the Toxic Shock.
It's like a time
stuff
machine,
like that, or like, man, I think he might even have recordings from the protest, man, back in the old days, like my very first like punk band I was ever in, and
back at the 4th Street house.
yeah. I'm pretty sure awesome. He has a recording of that somewhere.
I guarantee he does, actually.
Cool. Well, actually, we should have you guys introduce yourselves so people can like hear your voice and all that. So,
all right, cool.
Do that?
I'm Aaron Maxwell, or Aaron Wild, chieftain of the Varyags of Finland from Kansas City.
Cool.
I'm Derek Larson. I'm his lifelong friend,
brother.
Yeah.
And you guys are modern Varyags. Right? Is that
21st century Vikings?
You
in
can
a
say
way.
that. Yeah. Well, like Varyag is a funny name, but where we took it, like Varyag itself is actually like a Slavic term, and it kind of
The
meant
Vargarians.
kind of along the same line as Varangian, like kind of the Greeks talked about. The
Var is also the goddess of oaths. She
Yeah.
hears oaths. So Var is the
There's a lot of
So-
derivatives in the old times, Goths, so Northern Germanic, North European, whatever. It was a term of kind of companions. Like this was a brotherhood of guys that were together, band of company. Like Var being also like a swear or a pledge.
Okay.
So, and a yag or a log would have been like a ship. So it's like crew, whatever you want to say. We didn't just want to write Vikings
Yeah.
across the
It's
top.
a little basic, but
So it derived from that, but we take it as it's like literally our pledge to each other.
oath to kinship.
And it goes further than that too, and like I guess metaphysical terms and spiritual whatever. I hate that term, spiritual.
Nah.
But we really just like have lived our lives the same. Just it's all tied in together, and we finally got a name for it later on in life. We're like, man, we've been doing that shit for years, living that way.
Right. It boils down to a worldview. Really, is more what it is than a religion or a whatever else you would want to call it, like a spirituality. It's just what you know and feel, and the way you perceive and do things and judge yourself and the things around you. You know what I mean? So after already living years and years with the worldview of the way it was, finding little connections and then having the names to call things that you have already held true your entire life was just kind of the next step, and being like, oh well, instead of being some random dude doing these things, I'm a heathen. I found heathenry, so I'm a heathen, and I'm doing heathen things now, and
It kind of actualizes what you've known all along.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, who doesn't like the woods? And who doesn't like partying in the woods? So when you have, I guess that's still wonderment of nature, because nature's really the last amazing.
The only true law.
The only true law. When you can get lost back in the past, I guess crossing like some people would call that sacred time. Like, I'm doing the same shit that my ancestors, no matter who they were in humanity, were in some woods naked running around trying to like imbibe liquids and just live their lives.
That's an interesting concept. Like that's something I wanted to ask. Like you seem to place a pretty high value on being in touch with the the practices of the ancestors, if you will. Do you think that humans naturally benefit from being connected to those old lifestyles?
I do. I mean,
because it sounds like there's something that can be gained from being in touch.
Well, think about this. If you strip away all the constructs that have been put in front of your face, all of society and the things that have been built around you that are not natural to the oneness of the cycle of nature, and you strip back to like what you truly are at your essence as a living creature, you're an animal. Your life is no more sacred or special than a blade of grass or a cow or a dog or a cat or whatever. You're just in the cosmic pot like everything else is, jumbled around as a oneness.
You're part of the petri dish.
You have willpower. You have the ability to enforce your will upon those other things and to conquer things and to make them submit to your will. But at the end of the day, you still have to bend to nature's will because it's the true law. And if you join into that cycle and use the parts to your advantage you can use to your advantage and sacrifice when you need to sacrifice, you get not only a better quality of life, but a better oneness of everything. Like you're
returning to the natural format.
Right. Like you have no choice, man. No matter how good of a structure you build, no matter how much you want to take and make your own, a hurricane or a tornado or an earthquake will tear down your structure, and you're still at the same will and torn back down to being a basic ass animal naked in the woods. Yeah. So if you embrace that and use that as your platform to therefore build your worldview off of and understand that you are one with that and not to abuse it, but to obviously take advantage of the things you can, then you're on a much more natural process. You have way less kinks in your chains. There's way less to go wrong when you're doing the natural flow that you're supposed to be doing.
You're not complicating any
Yeah,
particular
you're not complicating anything.
Yeah, before we get like super into the metaphysical side of things, I love this. This is gonna be awesome. But what does this lifestyle you guys actually entail for the people who've like literally never heard of this? What do you guys actually go and do that you would say is like different, or how do you live your life?
Who are the
differently?
Varyags?
I could say,
because then I think that will give people the groundwork to know, why you believe what you believe and things like that.
Well, what we're doing right now, we've given acknowledgement to the fact that we're like lifelong brothers. We're family. Our families are intertwined now. Like, I remember when I was first talking to Will, he talked about, I said tribe and he said clan, and I'm like, well, okay, those are two different aspects of almost the same kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So we have a lot of other friends and other heathens that we would consider still kind of a part of our tribe, because we're all heathens. We all get together at certain special times of the year where we've denoted this is sacred time. We get together, we do ritual, pay homage to the gods, ancestors. So a lot of it's some of it's kind of hocus pocus. Some of it's just kind of friendship and fellowship, and a lot of people come from a lot of different regions in the Midwest and more out in Missouri, and some people coming from Illinois and kind of out in deeper Missouri, and all the way to the other side of the spectrum. We know have friendships with a lot of cats and out in western Kansas that come from
even
Manhattan,
like
Wichita,
Florida and stuff like
and,
that. I still stay in touch with my friends out there.
And you get all those kind of people. Our introduction was getting all those kinds of people and then getting together at like a campground on the premise that we're all going to get together here at this time, and we're going to worship ritual to the ancient Nordic gods. And, a lot of people have different terms that they'll use, and they come from completely different, I guess,
adaptations,
different sources, different translations, different. The thing is like as a heathen, there is no one way. There is no dogmatic format. There is no book or Bible that tells you this is what it is. This is what you do. You take little pieces from the sagas and from the lore and from what archaeology and stuff like that can find, and you try and construct that and put it in a modern day setting. So like what we would do,
like neo-paganism in a way.
It's tied to neo-paganism, if you would call it that, just because.
In a way, I guess. Some people are very traditionalist, and they're like, no, that is not exactly.
It's a question of your belief in the faith itself versus the
Well, like I said earlier, it comes down to the worldview, really, is what sets the standard for all heathens, is that worldview, and then building from that. So
and earlier you touched on everything being equal and like how nothing is sacred, but then you guys set, but then you can transcend those, and the things you set aside to transcend those you can do in a number of different ways or whatever, but that transcends the mundane to the profane. So every time we have a ritual, for instance, if we have a bloat, which is a blood sacrifice, we start by hollowing whatever area we're in. We go pay to the four corners, everything like that. So that space there has now become sacred space.
Okay. There's power in ritual.
Right.
Repeated ritual. These are places, a lot of them are, trying to think of what you'd even call those places. Some of them are just like former kind of neo-pagan, kind of new age type people got together and buy huge tracts of land. And
I know you're familiar with Gaia. Some of them are like places like Gaia and stuff like that, or things like that.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm a little bit
some of them are on more actual sacred oathal property, like that people have been inherited from their ancestors for generations and generations back. So it's like the blood of bloat has stained that land forever. The
people have dedicated their energy to
right. So in a way, you don't even have to bless that space, but you do it for the ritual of it. And the power really comes from the ritual, which ties in directly to tribe, because as individuals, we do our rituals and our sacrifices on our daily, weekly, whatever basis is, and then we come together as tribe on our small unit of a clan, really, like as the Varyags, and then we might have a ritual of feigning a blow or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you pull in even more tribes and little clans to a bigger thing, and the more people and the more voices and the more action you have, the more you're going to catch the attention of the gods or the ancestors or whatever it is you're trying to honor at that moment.
Yeah, it's almost like you guys have this agnostic approach to like a religion or some sort of spiritual practice of like you're not clinging too tightly to any ideology or dogma, but it's like you almost like it's more of an energy. It's kind of how I'm understanding. Like if you guys are all getting together and choosing,
like what you value.
I'll use like words to kind of help give it a better character. Like
this makes me actually think of Leviticus, like in preparing the temple for worship.
Right.
You
well,
know,
they were kind of almost a heathen religion before they became a super duper monotheistic religion.
Yeah,
It's like you have to study a lot of. We had to study a lot of the nature of what many different cultures, groups, religions, whatever you want to call them, how they practice, because the Indo-European tradition is something that dates back for anybody despite any European heritage. So that means it goes all the way back to the Ice Age. Mm-hmm. So we're not really practicing so structured of a religion other than trying to get some of that knowledge that how much of human history have we lived where we didn't have recorded history and oral traditions. But we know if we were humans that long ago, they had the same brains we have now, but they're thrown into different situations, like they're running around in the Romanian forest when there are still, mammoth herds and
Gigantopithecus.
Behind every blade of grass you could die. I mean, even drinking water out of a stagnant pool and your kid dies.
Yeah.
How much knowledge they had to gather about their surroundings.
Mm-hmm.
And
very symbiotic.
Where does religion come for when everything around you is just sacred? That's how you make your living. That's how you make your life.
It's almost humbling yourself, your scale,
in a sense. We take
system.
we take the roots of what we're practicing now. We discovered those roots at like Norse paganism, whatever you want, heathenry. And then after we really have been involved like I said, we've lived mostly this way most of our lives, being wild people. Just kind of the whole barbarian.
Aaron Wild came about for a reason. Years before I officially called myself a heathen.
Roots is tribe.
Aaron has an axe on his hip. People can't see that, but
yeah,
he's not a liar. That's for sure.
Music and like when you're an adolescent and those interactions in your social peer group. Everybody forms their own little mini tribes. We just don't call them those names, we don't recognize.
The punks are the punks. The skins are the skins.
So when you live in a scene and you know who you can rely on, and you know who can be trusted to be at your house and get shit-faced and vomiting in your toilet, you learn trust. You learn respect of other people. You also learn the not no nice side of human beings. We all do.
We all make bastards.
Yeah, we fuck up a lot. We're selfish a lot. And ego.
I didn't even think about cussing. It's cool to cuss, right?
Absolutely.
I kind of don't. Okay, I kind of don't have a censor. I'm sorry.
It's on the
if it flows easier, man.
It's
anything goes.
I realized he just had an epiphany, and it interrupted my conversation.
We saw it happen before our very eyes.
I should just have a disclaimer, like no rules every time, because
it's good.
Rules are.
That sucks that you'd have to ask that, because like when we asked you guys outside, like, what was the format? And you're like, we got shit-faced together and we recorded it.
Yeah.
It was amazing. I'm like, oh, wait, if we have to worry about what we say in a conversation amongst people, that's shitty.
There's the idea is that we didn't record it and we're like, man, we need to start recording these things.
And the ability that you guys have, you can put it out there too, not just.
Yeah. And we respect, some people have professions and average lives, if they're comfortable enough talking to us about it, we definitely respect, not putting them on blast if that's what they choose.
Yeah.
You guys don't have to go by your legal names.
Even my nieces and nephews, I talk to them like they're little people, and my sister actually gets the most finished. Like, Aaron, what'd you say? I'm like, what? Retard? She's like, you said fucking retard. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't say either of those words, really. But
if it's natural to you, by all means, we respect people.
I'm in the boat where,
like Joe Rogan said, it's like words are just sounds that come out of your mouth trying to convey my intent.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Making noises.
Yeah,
with your lungs.
We're the only creatures on Earth that can manipulate sound to inflict our will onto other things. Yeah. Grab me a beer. I'm going to grab you a beer.
Breath magic.
A cat's meow does a thing.
Magic, yeah,
really
breath magic.
I like that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like filtering language like if it means you're being inauthentic.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
like I don't want anybody to change who they are.
Well, it's funny when we're in like really
They don't have to.
super polite company. Sometimes I have to turn my filter. I'm like, oh wait, I can't just say.
Yeah.
But
it seems like that's almost like disrespectful to those people in a way.
certain people
Yeah,
I don't
I-
want to
Yeah,
accidentally.
Some people don't want to
Yeah.
hear it, so
Yeah.
it is being respectful. But for me, it's like I don't want you to change who you are.
Yeah.
I want to know you. You know,
I talk differently in a restaurant where there's other families as opposed
That-
to how I'm talking
that's
to my
probably
friends when I'm having
respectful,
a
yeah.
beer. You know, like a lot of people have lost that concept.
Discretion.
Yeah.
And some
Anyways,
people
you're
I'm
saying,
one of those people. I lost that description.
Yeah,
Sorry.
he
You were
just-
talking about
Anyways, back on topic. Back on topic.
yeah, back on track. You were talking about I guess how it relates to like modern times or this.
Well, so modeling ourselves in a spiritual sense after our ancestors or what, like,
Joining your ancestral folk stream, you know.
so how do we live like that? Well, number one, just kind of like I had one of those crises moments because I've always been a bigger guy, I played sports when I was younger, and it was like as soon as I stopped playing sports and then had to join real life and just work, you abuse the crap out of your body, just the way you eat, the way you drink, you know, partying, whatever.
12-hour night shifts.
Yeah, and
fucking,
Yeah.
Even when you're in relatively good shape because of your job, but you're still like way overweight, you're like, fuck, dude, I need to do something. Like I need to change. And you know, you'll look it up right now. Like one of the biggest diet things is paleo or whatever you want to call
paleo,
it.
keto,
And some
early
people
human.
some people are
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah.
well, it doesn't matter what you eat as long as you know, count your macros. Like you want to be a lean human being with the least amount of fat. You just need to have a more traditional diet. If your body type's meant to eat a lot more animal protein with good veggies and other kind of things, that's what you need to eat. And if you're going to exercise too, you need it to repair your body. And I had to take the approach to making my food sacred in my own head. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I'm going to prepare my own foods. Like, I'm still buying food from the store just because you know how much chicken I got to eat every. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
But when you prepare your own meals and you're aware, like I do most of my meal prep on Sundays, so that I'm just covered for the whole week, and I'm prepping in my head workouts and you know other lifestyle things. Like I need to maybe get done something for Aaron. I need to do one of my own projects for myself, and hanging out with all these other guys. They want to make, you know, giant Viking shields and learn how to hit each other with swords. So I got to make time for those guys, and I got to still, you know, do all this other random stuff. You have to take time to ritualize your day. I mean, even in small things, like I can't help but every time I take a shower, I'm like, I'm removing the pollutions of the day. I'm removing
blood
the
of Ymir.
pollution. Yeah. By the blood of the gods, I'm getting all the stains and boogers, and I'm making myself clean. Because I said earlier, like I don't like the word spirituality, and I don't really like the word religion. But a better term to use would be religio, which would have been Latin of being more of like how the customs of the gods, like the customs that you show to the spirits, or the correct way of righting yourself in the world. And like it's a cult, it's a series of practices.
Yeah.
And even in the ancient world, it was really a lot less of far-fetched dreaming about things and more of, if I do this set ritual, I will prepare myself for the next step of this other ritual that is my life, that is day in, day out, because I live in a slum somewhere, or to the way people related to the world that lived in a forest, but they had to scratch a living.
Yeah,
If
it
your
seems
crops
like a lot
didn't grow,
of
you died. If your kids caught an illness, they died. And then if it was bad times, you had war where people literally came through your land and chopped each other up with fucking swords.
yeah,
That's
it
something we take
seems
for
like,
granted. That shit doesn't happen anymore.
It seems like a lot of religious tradition kind of spawns out of just safety. Like
Yeah. It's
for
how we
me,
rationalize it. We apply theology to it
Yeah,
almost.
yeah.
There's good practices at its
We
core.
have a
It
hard
It's
comes,
just
time
how
it
we-
becomes
differentiating.
dangerous when it's translated over the ages.
Yeah.
Right,
Used
right.
It just
as
doesn't make sense
excuses
after
instead
enough
of
time.
thinking
Well-
about what you're doing.
What our aim is really is like you take things, and like even though you know many other more mainstream religions, for lack of a better term, have like crushed out a lot of knowledge, and like there just wasn't recorded history and things like that. But you transcend that boundary from your ancestors thousands of years ago to now by looking at things like the lore and the sagas and stuff, and you read these things and you start to realize what it was that these people valued, what they saw as true and righteous, and what they saw as good, and what they put weight on. You know what I mean? And you learn like a worldview of like building your own luck. Like luck isn't sevens and 4-leaf clovers and gambling. Luck is like a tangible thing. Like that's where the term good luck comes from. You are 1,000 years ago going on a raid. You go to the king who has had multiple successful raids, and you say, hey, we're going to go raid this place. And he says, oh, bring this and this and this, have these provisions, and go with my luck. Well, you have that rede from him and that luck. And so then you take it back to your men and you go, well, the king of whatever fame, you know, just sent us with his luck.
We're in his good graces.
He then endowed some of that right action that he has achieved through his own sweat and blood of accomplishing what he had set out to do, which has built his luck, that he then turned a bit to us to go with luck to build our own refrain for going on our raid.
So it's like he's endowing the power of ritual.
Right, and things like that you pick up on, and then you apply them to like, oh, well, there's a way to live your life without being a piece of shit. Yeah, and there's a way to, you know, get a 50-50 or whatever.
Would you relate luck to kind of the idea of karma at all in any way?
It slightly. Although luck can only be spent at your discretion, really.
It's more like willpower almost.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
So it's kind of like I don't know. It's kind of tied into your fame or your refrain too, right? You know, like if you're that dude who's like, man, I tried 7 times to do this thing, and 7 times I failed. And then, you know, his brother to the right of him is like, well, I tried 7 times to do this thing, and I progressively did it better all 7 times, and now it's perfect. Well, you're going to go with the dude who did it perfect, right? He has that reputation now.
Yeah.
He has already proven that he can do what he has set out to do. He does what he says. I mean, you can see this patch I got right here, doer.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. It's about taking those things and making action, like not wasting your life. Setting out, being exactly who you want to be, conquering what you want to conquer, and doing what you feel is best in your way. Like, you know, I don't have cable or any kind of real technology at all. You're like, oh man, what do you watch? Well, myself doing shit. I pick up a hammer and blacksmith, or I tool some leather.
As long as I've known you.
Something, you know?
Yeah.
Do you have a cell phone at this point?
I do have a cell phone.
Oh,
actually.
shit.
He knows how to
That
get
happened?
Yeah, that finally happened.
Okay.
Not a complete Luddite.
Yeah. I do play Pokemon. You know,
Yeah,
so I have a Game Boy.
That brings
choose,
up
you know?
a question I
It's
was
the
wanting
ability
to ask.
to do that.
Where do you guys see technology in this equation?
Just modern society in general?
As
or?
the death of heroes, kind of, really.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
It's the death of heroes.
But I mean, wouldn't you agree that some of these things, like you guys are even if you take a step back to early humans and take some of these ancient traditions, at the time that was like the greatest technology. You know, it was a technology in that way, and it seems like it's progressed and we've gotten to a point in technological advances to where it's disconnected from us and it's not as much like beneficial.
Well, it's not only disconnecting from us, but it's disconnecting us from what truly is.
Yeah, and each other.
That's a lot of. Actually, I'm gonna quote the Tao Te Ching real fast. A lot of the strife and suffering and unhappiness comes from the non-acceptance of what is. Like that feeling that, oh, this should not be. Oh, why? Whereas if you just accept what it is and make the best of it, like, all right, are you guys familiar with weird? Weird is like, weird is what we are mingling right now. By talking to me and you, we are mingling weird. It's an ever-growing strand. So right now, if you have a heart attack, even though that's your heart attack, it's affecting me because I'm sitting here, right here with you, talking to you. So right now, I have that weight on you, you have that weight on me. That's our weird. If
weird
you
is
go by and we don't
That's
have
why
a
it's
phenomenon-
named weird. You just never
Really?
knew that.
Right.
That's the concept behind the word.
With a Y, though.
It's Y.
Weird.
Okay.
It's
W-Y, weird.
Weird.
But, yeah, that's weird, right?
Odd.
there's a lot of
That's the
jokes
point.
that come at that word's expense.
Yep.
It's very punny.
Yeah.
But the weird that web trickles out through everything, and by observing that, you can see what could possibly be. Like right now, if I stand up and kick the table into Will, it's gonna hurt his shin. He might knock over the mic. Then you're gonna get pissed because it's your house, and then he's gonna get pissed because my actions reflect on him as my brother, and I'm making him look like a jackass. Boom.
It's all connected.
Then
the interaction,
and it goes out forever because then your
understanding
girlfriend gets pissed, and then you guys tell your friends this guy was a fucking
Dog
jackass.
starts barking.
These dudes showed up at our podcast
And so
and
it's-
kicked
I
the
feel like a
table.
dick.
So you have to constantly observe this ever-growing web of weird, and that your actions, every single fucking one of them, every word you choose to say, has weight.
Yeah. Yeah.
It all has weight. Like there is no like, I don't know, like. That's the difference from karma. Karma is like it'll come back around. It's like, no, dude, you carved your own fate. Like there are certain, or your own destiny. There are certain things that are fated. Like you are born and you are die, and that is
die.
You are die. Like
Yeah.
that is it. That is it.
I
You are
like that.
you are die. You are born. Like that is it.
So it
but
comes-
everything between that is yours. You do
It
with that
comes
what you
down
want.
to the
So-
ability to recognize how your actions affect the world around.
That's
you,
Yeah.
the
basically.
interconnected.
Everything around.
Yeah, and I feel
Okay.
like you
Exactly.
guys are talking about this sort of like social accountability, and that's a really
For-
good perk
yeah, for
of this
everything.
tribal mindset. Is like we hold each other accountable.
So since
my
I hold
actions
him
affect yours.
more accountable.
Yeah.
So we rebuilt the connections it used to be that made up a society was, I have my brother, we have our sister, we have our mom and our dad, we have our cousins, we have those
Uncles,
other cousins
nieces,
that
nephews,
that
yeah.
were part of the community. We all grew up in this one village or in this one valley or whatever, and somehow humans have made it work for a long time. So now we're all broken down to what? Like, if you're just a family of like a single parent with 3 kids or something, how are you gonna have the time to feel that connectedness with the world when you just have to work hard, and every bit of that goes to just making it through life,
Being a
doing
wage
it-
slave.
Yeah, being a wage slave, having to eat shitty foods because it's the only thing that is available in your own mindset because you haven't broke. There's a lot of people that they're never gonna change that way, not because they wouldn't. It's because they
Society
can't.
makes it really easy to live a really disconnected and unhealthy lifestyle,
It's,
especially modern society.
It's what I'm going to quote a friend here, but it's what I like to call the mental masturbation, which is, touching back to technology, that's exactly what it is. It's mental masturbation. It's
Yes.
stopping you from doing
Stimulation.
things. And that's what society and empire and stuff like that want from you. And
I mean, they've even
cheap
scientifically.
or easily hurted. You know what I mean? Like if you're sitting there looking at your phone all goddamn day and you're not bettering your life or doing anything or thinking about actions of like how fucked up the things are around you and how you can personally change them with just 2 or 3 actions, then you submit and you're controlled and it's cool. And if you realize, hey man, I want this cool thing. Wait, I could just make it. Hey, I want to go on this adventure. Oh wait, I can do that. Oh, I don't like my job. Holy fuck, I can get another one.
Yeah.
You know, and people just get trapped in these little things because that their minds are taken away by all the bright lights and flashing things and the mental masturbation in
Stimulants.
front of them.
Yeah, I was just gonna say they've proven that like people check their phones hundreds of times a day because every little like just gives you that little hit of oxytocin, and it's addictive.
I don't
It
go to
is.
sleep with the TV on, and I have a rule that I don't look at my phone like an hour before I go to bed, which I'm usually knocking out a workout.
There's a lot of
before
people talking about how
I go to
everyone
bed
needs
anyways.
to do that.
I do that purely just because
Yeah.
a well-respected guy in the kind of underground fitness thing, he was just like, you know what, you want to actually fucking grow muscle, lose a lot of fat, and I can fix every problem. Get fucking sleep.
Yeah.
Get proper fucking sleep, and your body, if you're eating right and you're taking care of yourself and you get the right amount of sleep uninterrupted, not like trying to fall asleep to movies with a fan blowing in your ear, you're gonna feel better. And if you get more time, they've proven the more time you spend out in nature, not doing like like just going in nature and doing
Not like a
normal
nature
stuff.
hike with the
hiking.
paved trails, but
Yeah.
like go out to the woods
and you
shake
spend
your wee wee a little bit.
Yeah.
Do something.
the longer you're out
territory.
there, just the
Yeah.
more natural rhythm you get in tune with the world. Like your sleep cycle comes back, your natural serotonin levels being like fresh air,
Yeah.
woods. You always feel like you smell things better, you hear better.
It's not in your
vision's
head
better.
either.
It's
It's
not
the
in your
thing.
head.
No, yeah, no,
And then when you
clears
actually
out.
go out there and
Yeah.
you do activities like hunting or fishing or like one of our big goals, we weren't able to get it done this year. But we were gonna head out to Colorado and just minimalist hike up a trail, climb a mountain, and just see where it went and camp out.
Yeah.
Then just do it, because we've done that kind of stuff in the past, and not only would it be, that's a ritual in of itself for us.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, we do things like survival runs and things like that.
It's
you
a
have to do that
testament to
kind of
the
stuff to test
ability of
yourself
man.
and reconnect
Right.
with
You know?
nature so that you know where you
take,
stand.
take 3 tools each with like one other friend, and then just go get lost in the woods for 2 weeks. Build your own shelter, catch your own food, do your own everything, and then like you have way more respect for yourself and the things around you, because you're like, oh, without everything there to fucking weigh me down, except for how am I gonna eat, what am I gonna sleep in, how do I shield myself from this rain? The priorities of greater living become very clear to you. You know what I mean?
This
Like,
this is a concept that's particularly interesting to me, and I was really excited when you mentioned weightlifting and you said rewilding, and that is probably the most accurate. Like you try to how do I conceptualize my beliefs, like the benefits of that lifestyle? Rewilding is perfect. So I think at this point, like humans in this day and age, like we're out of touch with that lifestyle. We did it for so long, it made us. It's who we are. So I mean, physically, would you say that a lot of these problems people are having with their disconnection is because we're not doing what we were built to do? And
straight up, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the basis of civilization is like, at the very, very basis, I guess, grassroots, is agriculture. That's how you fuel civilization.
Tending your land and
agriculture. Agriculture depletes your land base. Straight up, just depletes your land base. So then you destroy more of your land to build structures to house more people. And then you need more agriculture to deplete more land base for a population boom that will then destroy more land to make more structures to house more people and fuel this ever-growing, self-collapsing system that has really only been held together by threads from the very beginning. And people wonder why there's all this struggle and how we're going to fix this thing. But you can't fix something that at the roots is broken. Whereas our ancestors never had these problems, because what did? They migrated around. They moved with the weather. They hunted and got gathered and spun tribal groups and didn't just waste stuff and mass produce and destroy and consume and overbuild. So to rewild is to take that away. You know what I mean? Like, no one can tell you what you should be except for yourself, and no one should tell you what you should do except for yourself. And I mean, back to a while back about like sacredity of life and everything like that. Dude, you're no more important than that blade of grass. You're no more important than that field that you're gonna fucking destroy to build a parking lot for shit you don't need. Like you're gonna continually destroy these things, and then you're gonna put a dam up in the river so the herring and salmon can't go up there and breed, and then you're gonna go, wow, we have this fucking problem with population. Oh, I know what it is. It's these sea lions that are eating our salmon. Let's kill the endangered sea lions because they're eating our salmon because we put up this dam that we won't remove. And
it's all for the want of denying what's natural to us.
Right. And just it's a superiority thing. Like
the
fact that you are better than anything else on earth.
Not
You're
acknowledging
human,
how
so
you
therefore,
tie in.
I mean, and it goes full circle. Like, all right, so talk about your diet. Yeah, you would eat a cow. You would probably eat a pig and a goat, maybe even a horse. Would you eat your dog? Would you eat your cat? No, because in your mind it has been forced that life is somehow more important than the life of the other animal that you just consumed. That they are somehow more connected. They have more feeling than the fish or
They're
the
more
cow.
natural than
They fucking don't, dude. We're all living. We all feel the same shit. Like, just because you can't hear a blade of grass scream doesn't mean it's not feeling something when you step on it. It's alive, man. Like,
so be responsible for all the lives that you take.
Right,
recognize
exactly.
how
Take
your
fucking
actions
accountability. Like,
influence the world.
realize your place in the fucking greater cosmos. Like, you're not better than Earth. You're not better than dirt, man. You're made of dirt. You will return to dirt. You're gonna fucking die, man. We're all gonna die. Like, you're in this cycle and you can't deny it. And it's that denial, and then the solution you had, like I said, is self-imploding and unsustainable to begin with. And then you wonder, how can we fix this structure? Well, you have to completely rewild and destructure that structure to build a new one that is sustainable. Because agriculture is going to kill us, and civilization is going to kill us. Like,
yeah, wow, dude, that reminds me of one of my favorite podcasters, Chris Ryan. He's writing this book right now called "Civilized to Death," and it's kind of about that concept of like humans had it really good up until the point that we created civilization and started creating these structures, and then like you're saying, because then we have to come up with these. We almost put ourselves in debt from the very beginning because we start creating something that kind of inherently uses a little bit more resources than it has. And then it's like from that point, spawns every economic system, every structure that we have today.
It's self-perpetuating destruction is what
I've been really thinking about that idea of, can it be fixed? Is it fundamentally flawed from the basis of this was never what humans were meant to do in the first place? It's like, we just can't live like this. Like, have you guys heard of the Dunbar number?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like this idea that we can only even really know like around 100, 150 people. And we're trying to take in all of this information from all over the world, and we're supposed to process it and have an opinion about it somehow because our egos think that that's healthy. And it's like we have this society that we're living in that just, it kind of feeds all of the darkest parts of our nature. And
it's the most artificial part of being human is the society that we've created.
Yeah. And it's allowed us to even become disconnected from our food. We don't even know where our food comes from.
That's kind of where...
You don't even know if it's actually real meat.
That's where a lot of
They could have grown that in a petri dish.
I want to say our religio about our own food, like Aaron said, we participated in bloat. And bloat is just a fancy way of saying that's where... in one of those tribal settings, we've all gotten together to take a life, whatever type of being that life is, with the intention that we're going to consume this meat, this life force
not always, not like human or something.
Yeah, well, yeah. Don't eat the human sacrifices.
Eat people. Okay.
You're giving the wrong impression.
I would expect you to.
Hey, man, if we're on a 74-7 that crashes in Colorado, I'll eat your feet. But I'm not going to go to that when we're just snowed in. But having that connection in a moment like that where it's highly ritualized, it's attended by children and adults and young, old, all these different people that we've built respect and trust and everything. All those people in unison. The way we believe, for lack of a better term, like how we communicate to the gods is only when we're doing the serious actions of life. Usually, the more serious actions we take, if there are more people involved, it's going to be more powerful because it's involving them. Like we've already talked about weird and how that the weave, for lack of a better term, how we're all connected in that cosmic way. So when we all get together as a group of humans to consume food in a ritualized setting, like that makes the rest of your meals feel sacred to you because you're like, oh, last week it's
like communion.
We got together and we killed Billy's goat, and we all hailed the gods and drank a bunch of meat.
You're all in it together.
We ate, from the moment of its last breath, then the sacredness of which we clean the food. It's all hallowing in that tradition. Like when people used to just say grace over their food, or to how some practitioners maybe like voodoo or something, they'll sacrifice chickens, or in Africa, there are tribes that still to this day will eat dogs on certain occasions. And it's like the dog that's their pet.
Mm-hmm. They love it. Yeah.
They love it. But they ritually will eat that animal. And you can't say that there's no benefit to eating an animal, even if you love it. Like, that's the point of a sacrifice. You love Fido, yet you will ritually connect to how every human has ever been. We needed food. We needed shelter. We're committing one of those sacred, timeless actions.
It's your investment in it.
So from that larger group of a bloat, where it's for us, how if you've ever been to like a really amazing concert or had a really emotional, charged experience, whether you want to call it religious or whatnot.
It's the Om. It's from the beginning of time,
the ode.
Yeah.
The ode.
We call it the breath and the ode and the inspiration and where everything is. So that's where we get to talking about Indo-European. That ties in a lot with Germanic. I mean, we're all related. We're all related. The Germanic, and what you would call like heathenry, northern paganism. Then there's, people forget that the Germans and the Goths and even the Russians and the Slavs. A lot of all that's just all Indo-European, tied into all the way back to India, where you're talking about Rudra and Shiva, and who's to say Odin's not a different god that's been around for a lot longer, and a different kind of god for lots of different people.
He has a million names anyways.
And to throw it back in with us, it's like, if people ask me, like, well, what is your spirituality or what is your religion? I'm like, well, it's hard to say, because sometimes I believe in gods that are like in the old Clash of Titans type shit. Sometimes I'm like, that'd be amazing. I want Redbeard Thor to come down and put some whip ass on a fucking giant in front of me. That would be fucking amazing. I have yet to see that.
Real life Ragnarok.
I've yet to see that with my eyes. I've dreamed it. I've had other feelings. There's times when I've been in the woods, and I mean, we're here on the North American continent, so now who's to say I'm not interacting with somebody else's ancestors? I'm still related to them in the sense of mankind is mankind. Yeah. So, but all the way to like my latest ancestors, the Scandinavians maybe coming over, and we all bring everything our ancestors ever put into us genetically and spiritually. We all, as humans, we're the tip of the spear of our line. We're just all trying to live in the natural order of the world. And being small tribal groups, you don't have those conflicts. Rookie mistake.
You're good, man.
It's all
good.
To be fair, it's
you got a phone, and this is what happens.
See?
What the fuck?
Technology. Break that sucker.
But I mean, I don't know. I feel like that directly ties into what we were talking about right before too. Is that like to try and think about what the gods actually are and what they mean to us, to every individual. Like I said, for every heathen, it's almost different. Like you could ask 30 different people what Odin is to them, and you'll get 30 different answers. You know what I mean? Or like how to best do whatever to please whatever god. I mean, everyone will give you something different, which is why when you come together as tribe and clan and stuff, you get that, because you know what, I would not think that at every moment of your life, like the gods aren't just watching you, man. Like Thor, Odin, Frey, Tyr, whatever, does not care when you're sitting there pooping or playing your Game Boy or driving to work. But when you're doing something and you're yelling and you're hailing and there's a million voices going, hail, and you have no choice. Like the more voice, the more body, the more there is, the more you focus those attentions, the more sacred, the more holy, the more profane it becomes. The more you can transcend that boundary, the more you have the same people reaching for the same state of holiness, for lack of a better term. And that's why you do those things, because in your day-to-day life, you try and honor the gods by being a good person. You honor your ancestors by, I don't care who you are. At some point in your lineage, I guarantee you have a hero in your line, or you probably want to be here today. So the blood of heroes courses through your veins, and you have to fucking respect that, because if they did not struggle and triumph, you wouldn't be here, man. Just as much as if they didn't love each other and bang, you wouldn't be here. And so returning to that native, ancestral folk way,
you're paying respect to your ancestors.
Paying respect to the fucking strife and struggle they went through to put me here in such a good position that I am today. I don't have famine and plague and
we have it easy. We still fucking complain about it.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like we face an entirely different set of struggles, of course, but you know what I mean? Like they put in the footwork to put us here. Yeah. And you got to recognize that.
That should give you
come together with other people that recognize that to reach for that same plane and come to a better understanding of how to better live and do, and
it gives you
respect life. Yeah,
it gives you that perspective that I am just, again, another being in the speck of beings. One day I'm going to step back into the line, and if you have children, you can't help but feel that connection even closer than, it's terrifying. You're like, I'm not gonna be here, and my child is gonna have to continue the line. What am I gonna teach him about life? Like, what's most important that I think needs to be boiled down to him? And that's kind of the same approach needs to happen with more people.
Yeah,
carrying on value.
It doesn't.
Right.
You don't have to love the stranger that you meet, but aren't most people usually pretty cool and friendly when you get to know them you connect on a certain level and you guys can share those values for a little bit. Everybody shares an inside joke. Yeah. Or you share the fact, like, I work in steel. Will was asking me about it earlier. You know, I don't know the guys I work with on like been over at their houses having dinner all the time with their families, but I've been out around. We've gone to the bars a few times. We went to a couple games, sports ball, but I trust them enough because we've worked together for at least the last 4 years that, I mean, we're moving metal with cranes. It's big loads. Sometimes it's tons of pipe. Sometimes we have those little plate clamps, Will, that pick up.
Eye bolts.
You see some scary shit, and then sometimes you have an off day. Joe's sick. You know, he's on NyQuil. He's running a crane. I have to trust those guys enough that they're not going to disable me. They're going to allow me to do my work day, and we're all going to go home because we're only getting paid so much to do this. But while we're here,
you're brothers.
We're a micro tribe.
You're all sharing the same ritual.
But that comes from sharing the same values. Every one of us has to value safety. Every one of us has to value, on some respect, even if I don't like Doug. I respect Doug enough. I don't want to see him die.
Doug fucking got caught in your lunchbox.
You know, I'm not gonna want to go home and tell my wife I saw Doug get speared by a pipe because of something that I did shitty.
Yeah.
Let alone if it was just accidental. And Steel will let you know how quick life can be ended.
Any industrial environment, you get some butthole pucker moments.
I work in a brewery, and even in that, like, I could literally fall into a tank of like really hot caustic and like melt my fucking flesh off.
Burning his ass off.
I burned a hole in my ass. Like,
that'd be a hell of a seasonal beer.
By accident, like it happens, man.
Taste the air.
I mean, y'all seen Beer Fest? I could literally fall into that vat of beer and get sucked down and fucking die. You know, and like you have to have that kind of respect of everything. Like if you're not accepting of your mortality and the fact that you are gonna die, and like I feel like that's where a lot of people like come to the struggle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's like that. I've heard that phrase, "Remember your mortality."
Well, it's kind of
there's a Latin phrase people get tattooed on them all the time.
I feel like what you guys are getting at really is like just sort of like a mindfulness practice. It's like always trying to be aware of what can kill you, where these things come from, why you should value them. Like how
you were led to be here.
Yeah, how do you actually relate?
I guess I like
into
that,
the world,
knowing
you know?
how I got my whole life to this moment.
Yeah. It's just trying to be that have that reflective mindset of
consciousness.
Like how do you relate to the world and how does it relate to me?
There is no real true future. There is what might be. There is what you think should be, but there is no true future. Like to flip the cup, the liquid should spill, but centrifuge might hold it in and it might do a full flip and land. You never know. There is no destined set future. Mm-hmm. The only certain thing is we're gonna die. Like you don't know when. But
it's true.
So therefore, you have to be mindful of that.
Concrete cracks. You got to pay taxes, and everybody dies.
Right. Yeah.
Is the 3 universal truths.
Water's wet. Yeah. Water's wet. Like things like you know what I mean. Like there are certain things like you have to know are true, and like everything else is what you make of it, what you take, and you make the best of it. So that way, by the time like I don't know, a lot of other religions are focused on like I want to be a good man and go to heaven, or I want to. Some afterlife promise, whereas heathens, it's about living this life. What happens to me
There's no threat of bad if you're not a good person.
Right, like, I mean, what happens to me in the afterlife, so that's another life, man. May the gods decide it. I don't care. What I'm worried about is here, making this impression. Whenever I'm dead, I want those left on behind me to raise a horn to me and say that was a bad motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like I want people to say, "Oh,
motherfucker." Here's to that bad motherfucker.
Yeah, he was a shiesty mother. No, I don't want any bad words ever spoken to me. Like I want my friends, my descendants, like my line to. I want to become one of those heroes. You know, like these are saga times, man, and you are saga worthy if you make yourself like.
As long as they keep saying your name, you
tell?
never really die.
Right, exactly. So. Like you die twice. You die when your physical body goes, and you die the last time your name is spoken. I mean, look at people like shit.
Think about it.
Nobody's
here to speak your name.
Right,
anymore.
right. The majority of the world is still familiar with names like Achilles, Ragnar Lothbrok, things like that. Those have been permanently carved into the fucking eons. Like as long as men will speak, they will speak of heroes like that, like Hercules, things like that. Like those are people like whatever spin you want to take on them. Those names have been remembered forever for a reason.
Heroes that have transcended society's
it was for their
changes.
Deeds. It wasn't for anything else. It wasn't for what God said. I mean, whatever. You know what I mean? Like those true things that have lasted from beyond pen and paper and writing. You know what I mean? Like there was a time when like those names weren't even written down. They were literally spoken around campfires, and they survived to
Word
a
of
digital
mouth.
age.
Yeah.
You know what I
to
mean?
get to this point.
Right, exactly. They are still alive because they were worthy of it. They carved it for themselves.
It's the eternal concept of a hero's life.
Right.
I mean, we're getting into like mythic properties here, you know, like mythic realms and mythic story, and like a myth is history that's just always true, even if it doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
it's like it's
and it relates to the background a lot of
Oh,
heathenry. There's a lot of stories and a lot of concepts that are exclusive
even
to
just like modern
Norse
sci-fi
mythology or something like that.
Like Tolkien, for example, he tapped into like whether it had Christian overtones, like kind of a belief, because he was a Catholic, you know, I believe, but he was a big fan of like ancient English lore and literature, the Anglo-Saxons. You're getting into a whole nother story. Like you talk about the native Britons that lived in England, and then the Germanic Anglo-Saxon tribes coming from the Yuletide Peninsula changed an entire country that now we speak their language, albeit a bastardized one.
English is a trade language.
But it's a trade language, but it's passed down from... There was another interesting podcast, The History of English. I don't know if you've either heard it.
I haven't checked that out.
If you check that out, it kind of really goes all the way to the roots of what I've been talking about with like the Indo-European, like how all these languages in a line lead up to us speaking English now. The words that we use, the sounds that we're pushing air out,
and
we're watching breath magic.
We're watching it change even more into like hieroglyphs again at this point.
That's
speaking in emojis, man.
Right.
We're going backwards.
Exactly.
Well, that's the progression though, is things like that. So like English, like we just said, is a trade language because I mean you can pick up terms of like Russian, all over the world. Yeah. Because I mean, take it back to like. Even like Saxon words back in the day, like which was the birthplace of England, English or whatever, you know.
Yeah, I always hear people say the Anglo-Saxon root of words. I'm assuming that's because that's where a lot of English words come
right.
from.
That's where a lot of it came from. But in things like the Viking Age, like people would come over and trade and stuff like that. Well, it's like I picked up some of your language, so I can say this, but then I'll say, you know, like if you speak Japanese, you know, I'm like, konnichiwa tomodachi hajimemashita. My name's Aaron. Because I don't know how to say like Aaron des. You know what I mean? Like I don't know that. So you're like, oh well, then that person's gonna keep on that trade route, keep that little piece of my name's Aaron.
Yeah, and then they'll sort of evolve the language.
My name is whatever, and then he's gonna go to Russia, and they're gonna throw in, you know, like a Russian word, and they're just gonna keep going and evolving until it's like, hey, I have this trade language where I'm pretty much mixed in things.
Yeah.
Or like a pikey almost, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I got this language that's like universal. I'm like, even though people can't understand all of it all the time, I have the roots that they can understand what I want to get out of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
this kind of makes me think of the whole weird thing again, because it's like whenever we get together and we make weird, like that's when things sort of evolve. And that's when we create
that's when we're doing stuff,
energy.
That's when you're having that interaction. You don't you can still, I mean, when you're by yourself doing things, that's only affecting you, like literally.
Yeah.
But when you get together as a group, we have 4 independent minds sitting around on a connected level. Usually we're going to be doing stuff, and it's usually probably going to be more intense than you experience just by yourself.
Yeah.
Doing your normal daily routine or whatever it is. epic shit usually happens when groups get together and consume alcohol and substances, and we like to.
We get
We'd
on
get
that
together
level.
as parties and we'd hunt. We'd get together and you'd have to farm together. You'd have a lot of interaction with like hard labor, which that kind of ties back into like the physical aspect of our worldview. That you have to be healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mind, body, and spirit. It's a trifecta.
Obviously, like you know, Aaron's
healthy body,
pretty
sick mind's not gonna work.
lean guy.
Sick mind, healthy body. It's just they're all connected. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The Trinity.
If you're spiritually off, your willpower's not going to be into pushing that weight or pulling or whatever it is you're doing to running that mile.
Yeah.
If your body's up for it and your spirit's up for it, well, then, you know, maybe your mind's thinking about how you got fucked over last week at work still, and so you're just not putting your all into it. Like, you have to have that trifecta.
Yeah. Which means it's like you almost need to have that alone time, though, to
You
have
do.
that
You do,
reflected.
yeah, right.
You do.
But that makes you, I think, better in the tribe or the community, because then when you
have to
wrestle with
respect the
yourself and
individual.
you deal with that,
You're
then-
living. If you're always living in the moment at peace with yourself,
You're not practicing empathy at that point.
like
You're
a lot
not
of people
understanding
like,
the
you
bigger
talk
picture.
about that disconnection.
Yeah.
People, how often are they not even conscious of themselves, let alone other people?
Yeah.
And that devolves eventually in the long run to like shitty behavior that just gets exaggerated and implodes and
It
then
feeds itself
it just
to the
I
point.
mean,
of,
and everybody should know that, or at least have seen examples in their own lives. Just if you have any normal interaction with people, there are some people that don't. But when you have a closeness with other people and it gets a larger group, but you know you can still trust them, like that is a better feeling than just thinking about myself. Like I could be having a boohoo day and I just want to quit the world, check out. I'm boohooing, laying down in my bed, and I'm like, at least this motherfucking asshole is gonna either berate me for being like a little sissy and not taking life serious enough, or tell me like either like you're gonna either endure it or you're not gonna endure it.
Do it or
Like,
don't it,
do
man.
it or don't. Like life is strife.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do from here? Most people will eventually do the right thing, but if you're on it and you just feel like you're always making the right decision, it gives you that freedom back. Like every action that I do right now, I'm in complete control of, and I know most likely what the outcomes are going to be. So what price are you willing to pay for certain actions of things that you maybe want? Like, and what's a real priority? Like a real priority for me is having as much time with my boy as possible. And then, of course, earning enough money to procure the most important things. Like, I don't have a super lot of technology, but I don't live like a caveman either. But if our ancestors would have had it, they would have probably used it. I think we used to moderate ourselves a little better with distractions. But since I have so many other interests, I keep myself so busy. I'm like, we don't need cable. I've got like 50,000 DVDs I bought when I was a bachelor. And I didn't have TV either way, you know, like, so my wife and I were usually more crafty. Like I'm always doing something, either making something or painting models or miniatures. And, you know, I do have video game technology, but I would never just let myself be so carried away with it that I would lose touch. Like, when I play a video game, I for damn sure want to distract myself and go into another world. It's easy to play Skyrim and pretend for an hour. Like any child, how much time do we let children have playtime and they just go into their imaginary world and do it? It makes sense. But if like that's your whole life, or your whole life is watching football and watching other people go do stuff,
you're having no
and accomplish
influence.
things, but that's how you're invested in. Like that's my team. We did that.
Yeah.
Go team. But really, how are you involved? You're just wearing another.
It never
man's
carries
name on
over
your
into your life.
on a jersey that you're
It has
wearing,
any
and
effect.
like
Well, it's like what you're saying.
it's simulated
is that,
tribal.
like,
When you can really just go out
it's
and
a
have
fake
the real
tribe.
thing.
It's tribal mentality used in an unhealthy and disconnected way, because they're not really interfacing.
It's just
with the
massaging what
tribe
we
or
really
people.
want to the point where we're like, oh, I'm into this.
Like you can get
This is
drunk
good.
with your friends at the lake, but can you get drunk with your friends at the lake and go chop down a bunch of trees and build something?
Build a fucking
or
longhouse.
at least prep the bonfire for the night and can you all make the beer and the alcohol, the mead that you're all gonna drink that entire night while
Catch the fish you're gonna eat.
Yeah, you're gonna catch. Like, can you actually go do that stuff with a group of people? And obviously, when we have the luxury in a small group that we can go do that kind of stuff and have those more fully out in the wilderness. And like I said, normally we're doing other ritual stuff too, but there's a lot of free time where we're just swimming in a lake, or what was that? We got canoes, so we were like, we're gonna race across this. Like, how fast can we row this motherfucker so everybody else looks at us?
You got a
like,
boat,
these
you got
guys
a lake.
are the rowingest
What the fuck you gonna
motherfuckers
do? I
ever.
mean,
Like, so like, and we're challenging everybody. Like, hey, we got an extra boat.
You would have
wanna
fucking
race
raced,
us?
pussy.
You want to race? Like,
Meet you on the lake.
yeah, if we beat.
Well, the thing is like there's a lot, especially nowadays, there's a lot of attention paid to like, oh, you can't like fat shame, and there has to be this safe space, and there has to be this, and that, and the other, and like that is stopping that forward progression. Like, dude, if you're fat and you're happy with yourself, then no one should ever be able to shame you. But if you're like, oh my God, I'm fat, and like it makes me feel bad, people call me
Don't fucking
fat.
mention it.
Well, then go out for field hockey, dude. Like ride a skateboard, do something.
Well, it's
like
shame is a sort of a feeling that we get that makes us, that is supposed to enforce action. Like, shame is accountability. If you do something that's shameful, you're supposed to redeem yourself from that, or to try to do better. But it's like now we've almost
We say
made a
it's
rule
not your
against
fault,
shaming
it's their
people.
fault.
no,
So
actually we
making you
have,
feel that
because
way.
modern, like, okay, like I'm not religious. Like, okay, never mind. I'm gonna be honest. I am a religion basher. So, anyways, like Christianity, for instance. Like, I was a complete fuck up. I punched my wife in the face and fucked her sister. But then I went to church on Sunday and asked for forgiveness. Lo and behold, I'm going to heaven, dude. Like, I was forgiven. I didn't have to spill blood. I didn't have to sacrifice nothing. I didn't have to do anything but ask for forgiveness. And lo and behold, I'm a fucking healthy, good Christian again. Whereas, like, to the word, this, like, he tells me, hey, man, I'm going to lose 40 pounds by October. If I see him and he's not lost weight, you best believe I'm going to be like, we're going outside and boxing. You better run a fucking mile right now. Drop down and give me push-ups. Can you not do 10 pull-ups? You're a fucking pussy. And I will not stop until he lives up to what he told me he was going to do, because I love him.
Yeah.
And I want him to be the fucking best man he says. And I want him to live up to his word.
Yeah.
But if he was contented being fat, then I wouldn't tell him to do a pull-up or do a push-up. I'd be like, all right, man, eat more cheeseburgers and get fat, dude, if that's what you're into.
Yeah.
If you're building Legos, be the Lego buildingist, man. Build the Eiffel Tower. That's cool. But, like, if I tell you you're a nerd for building Legos, don't get butthurt at me. Just like, just like jocks,
Ownership.
you know what I mean? Are jocks ashamed of being jocks? Like, no, they're like, whatever. Like, they're doing them. Like, am I a jock? No. But at the same time, like, you can, like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of those
Aaron's
people just...
the wrestlinist, by the way.
I am the wrestlinist. There you go.
He's the wrestlinist heathen you'll ever meet.
Greatest wrestler in the Tri-County area.
Dude, I'd say, like, the tri-state area. I literally had, like, 100 matches and, like, destroyed my titty, and still, like, after boxing this guy first, like...
Yeah.
And
That's
then
awesome.
still beat every
And
single...
that was all in the concept of,
I
like,
was a
tribal
wrestler.
religious
Right, yeah,
festival.
right.
Wrestling.
That's cool.
So we got...
I have Kung Fu tattooed like Thug Life.
That's not a good sign. Don't fight anybody with Kung Fu
I
permanently
got
written on
Fist
their
of
body.
Fury on my knuckles. You know what I mean?
So, where can people go? Like, we're getting close to an hour, so we'll start wrapping up here pretty soon. But I just
It's
want to,
gone by
like,
fast.
yeah,
Right?
it does. It flies by. But how can we, I don't know, I guess spread this message, or what can people do to learn more about
Most
these
people
ideas?
come
You know,
to heathenry, like I'll make it a quick our story introduction. We got introduced into, like, the what do you want to call it?
The greater community setting.
Yeah, I was looking for recipes of mead because I was doing homebrewed mead. Found a little flyer for a now defunct festival, but it used to be called Lightning Across the Plains. It was held out at Camp Gaia, and it was huge. It had like 250,
300 something.
300 something people,
big
plus
festival.
kids
That's
and
cool.
children, camps of heathens, people coming together, and they were doing rituals, you know, like in the hall and around fires. And it was our powerful introduction into, wow, this many people get together and actually do this
Think
stuff.
like we think and do what we do. I mean, in their own individual set, but you know what I mean? Like, are heathens like us, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
People are
I'm not
actually spending their time pursuing this, and you're not a weirdo
right.
for
We're
liking
not
it.
just crazy bastards stuck in ancient ways, you know what I mean?
Mumbling about
Through a
society
lot of
and
those
shit.
older people, they had already established kind of a Kansas City heathen community. They were doing pub
They would
meets.
have like a thew.
Yeah, they had a thew. They were getting together regular. They were putting it out to the public, like, hey, if you're heathen or like neo-pagan, you want to meet and talk about the Lord, and then we can talk about getting together. Da da da. So they started developing
get
a lot of
fucked
those
up.
resources. There's a website called Heathen Gods.
Temple of Our Heathen Gods.
Temple of Our Heathen Gods. I think I tagged you in it.
Yeah.
That was one of the first resources. Like when we first started going to Lightning and started meeting with other heathens, I downloaded all that stuff to read about the lore. It went from burial practices.
Like I said, a lot of it is it has been called the religion with homework.
Okay.
Because like you want to learn, it's based on a worldview and your perception of it. Like you pick up, and you read the Lay of Thrym, or you read the Havamal, or you read the Voluspa, and you read like the Tale of Sigurd or something like that. And you read them multiple times, and every time you pick up a little bit something different, and you start thinking, and like I said, it's kind of reconstruction too. Like you think like, oh well, why did they value this kind of strength of character and not this one? And you start thinking about those things. So like the Eddas,
Snorri Sturluson.
Yeah, sorry,
He's got a lot of Icelandic names that are really hard to fucking pronounce.
I like the Kevin Crossley Hollands is another good one. And I mean, there's all kinds of like different renditions and translations of like Nordic myths and legends and stuff like that. But a lot of it is really drawing conclusions on things like that, and then
study. And
right, you go out, and then if that seems like something that you would like to pursue, then just reach out through. There's a lot of, I mean, fortunately enough, here in the Midwest is a very good place to be heathen. There's all kinds of tribes out here. There's all kinds of events going on all over the place, everywhere from like Manhattan and Junction City area to Missouri to Illinois, like Oklahoma, Texas, like all around this little
so there's no limit to communities. For
there really
used
is
to
not.
be even
And
larger.
personally, it used to be even larger. Well, it's still as large. It used to be more connected.
Yeah, it's just more
It
spread
used to be more
out.
connected.
There's guys all the way from Minnesota and other
But
places.
the majority of heathens you'll come into, especially if you're coming into it, ready to learn and like are being genuine and true, they're some of the coolest fucking people. I mean, you just see them do something, you're like, oh, hey, I see you hammered out that rose knife really crazy. Like, I did like, and they're all super helpful. They're all super knowledgeable.
Yeah.
Like, because that's really what it's about. You know what I mean? Like knowledge is one of those few things that can be given and kept at the same time.
Yeah.
Like,
That's cool.
and it's for the greater pursuit of that. Like, as heathens, it's like, I feel like personally, I don't want to speak for everybody, but personally, it's about like the strength of mind. Odin gave his eye for wisdom. The strength of body and being able to actually do things, like Thor protects us all, things like that. And like you pick up on these things of like, like just being true to yourself and to everybody around you, like loyalty and justice and steadfastness and accountability and things like that. And when you find those things and you find a whole bunch of people that share those values, they're super easy to connect with, man, because you're already starting off on that same page, and although a lot of heathens really protect their weird, a lot of people are really willing to mingle it with you to the extent of you becoming problematic, because your weird is a tapestry. Like, you're the strings going horizontal. Everyone you come in contact are the strings coming vertical. Well, if you have a knot in your string, I'm going to have to find a way to circumvent that to still have the prettiest tapestry possible. And although by reading that web, I can see that problem maybe approaching, but I have, these three options to deal with whatever, and you got to keep that in. So whenever you find those people, be mindful of that, because some people will straight blow smoke up your ass.
Yeah.
Or they're just stuck in their own like UPG and being like, oh, well, this is this, and this is the one true way. When really there is no one true way. Like there is we said it earlier, Thu. Thu is like what you feel. It's what has become
your tribe's way.
Our
interpretation. Our
tradition.
set of customs.
Yeah, it's like our set of customs. But if our tribe comes to visit your tribe and you have a different Thu, We respect your thew because this is your tribe and this is your ritual. And sometimes, you know what, you might have something that was really cool that we never even thought of, and we might just steal that little piece of ritual from you to make ours even greater, and then it will become part of our thew.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Very
like,
cool.
And that's why you come together into the greater community.
Yeah.
Which, like I said,
luckily we live in a day and age when that knowledge is more accessible than it's ever been.
Yeah.
Right.
So. And we've kind of progressed to the point where all the knowledge we're getting now is no longer just stuff we've read off the web or books that we've read. We've actually gone out and experienced it with real like-minded other individuals for at least the last 2 years. We've been
practicing the truth of things.
Practicing the truth of things according to our way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's helped us become, like I said, everything leads up to the men you are now.
Mm-hmm.
We're in the present. We're still doing it. We're still going to keep moving forward, trying to either get more independent in our own lives, like rewilding, being, I want to raise rabbits and chickens and, have my own source of protein. And this upcoming year, I'm going to hunt again. This next year's goal is to just be eating no meat, but what I've either hunted or killed for myself. Mm. I'm trying to continue to get healthier, and I want to get big with weightlifting. And this guy, if he could rest more and eat more, he'd be Arnold big. Maybe Arnold's little son or something too.
Arnie Jr.
That's cool.
His little Arnie Jr. But that ties into all our interactions. We do. I'd said before, pub moots. In Kansas City, there is a group of people that get together trying to. They're the inheritors of the falling out that might have happened years prior, where one group was kind of, hey, we're all getting together and doing this. Now it's disseminated. Now all these little tribes are like, hey, we all need to get our shit together and actually see each other again. Like, it's been a while. We go shooting guns with these one guys that are more, they're all old vets or they'd served. And they're like, hey, we like to shoot guns, but we also like the ritual. We're like, okay, we'll go hang out with you when we want to go shoot guns.
Well,
and
it sounds like there's something in it for everyone.
Yeah,
honestly.
well,
and I'm sold on heathenry. From what I've heard you
like,
guys say.
Yeah, the next question is, can Will go with you?
The whole point
Take
of
me
tribe
home.
is that, like, your kids, your wife, your grandma, everyone can equally be involved.
Yeah.
This guy knows a little bit more about the computer side of things, but I'm pretty sure all of like the pub moots and things like that, if people are interested in coming out to learn stuff.
Give me information. Give some of our listeners information.
Yeah,
if you can.
I hate name dropping online or live.
If it's a tight knit community, it's understandable.
No, it's not that tight knit. We just don't have anything prepared that I could really tell you on air.
Yeah. No, that's totally fine. You want to just send me some links or something?
like even just like the Varyags of Inland, like we do a lot of shit, and so like if people ever see like a pub moot or something, they should probably check it out if they're interested, because I got that shared around. And like I said, if you want to,
I did have we had a Facebook page. I had it live for a while, but it became a distraction during my last weightlifting program. I was like, man, only people looking at this shit are people I already know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a lot of disjumbled stuff because I take a lot of pictures, tell people, hey, when we're traveling, the interweb is the way I just keep in contact with all the other people, and I let him know, and we write calendars when we're going to be traveling and doing stuff. But like the pub moots around, everything kind of dies during the winter, like literally and figuratively. Like nobody wants to do anything,
right?
So it's a little harder to get groups together. I'm trying to think of anything offhand.
I think that's a good start for sure.
I think if people are interested, definitely check out Heathen Gods or get involved in. There's a bunch of web stuff on Facebook groups. There's a Saw True groups and heathenry groups.
Use the tool we advise against.
All these,
for the past
I hate to say it, but if you're using it for a proper networking,
if you're using it in a good way.
If it's something you want to learn about, use the tools
at your
hands.
It is a tool.
If you're using Facebook to actually get a hold of people, like to
form
do
a
stuff,
community, then it's awesome.
then that's its served purpose, rather than I'm gonna check this to see the next meme shit post that somebody.
You heard it here, guys. Like, people are out there, and you're not alone. You just gotta find them.
If you don't fit in,
don't be contented with I used to be, because if you used to be, you never were, man.
That was kind of our epiphany with heathenry. Was we're like, hey man, it'd be really cool if there was a group of people out there that like to go in the woods, maybe get a little crazy on psychotropic drugs or something, and get naked in loincloth and charge around with spears, and found those people. And there's more to it. Like you really do free yourself
greater
up
good.
if you, the greater good.
The greater good.
The greater good. When you free yourself up and you just live a good life, you're not gonna have any
Hell yeah.
doubts.
You
You're
won't
not
fear
gonna
death
worry.
if
You're not
you're-
gonna
if you're
fear
living,
death. You're
like-
not gonna worry about the mundane crap. You're
Yeah.
gonna worry about what's important, what's sacred. I mean, everybody wants to glorify all the really dramatic parts of life, but most life happens on your next choice in your next moment.
Yeah.
It's all connected, and even if you're weird, there, like Will said, there's a niche out there somewhere. Ours just happens to be bushcraft and trying to live a simpler life while still competing in modern life, because it's not going anywhere. I can't tomorrow go run off in the well, I mean I could, but it's not a priority for me to go run off in the woods and eat berries and hunt and stuff, because eventually I'm gonna have to come back. Society's gonna find me in the woods and I'll be a crazy person, whatnot.
If there's a will, there's a way.
But if
And
there's a decline,
thank you guys for what's up? Thank you guys for sharing your way, because I
we
feel
appreciate
like
thank you
I'm
guys for
definitely
having
Yeah,
us on. We
Derek,
appreciate
Aaron,
it.
this has been awesome. We're gonna wrap it up here though. So
Awesome.
you guys want
Thanks,
to stay and
guys.
hang for a bit? That's cool.
Yeah, I
but
think we'll chill.
heck yeah. Thanks for
Thank-
doing this, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
thank
Thank
you.
you all.
Welcome to the Better Ideas podcast.
Thanks for having us. It was a good time.
Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning into the Better Ideas podcast, and thank you for making it all the way to the end of the episode. If you'd like to contribute to the show monetarily, you can do that at patreon.com/betterideas, or you can just follow me on Twitter at betterideas14. You can go to itunes.com and leave me a review or a 5-star rating. You can also do the same thing on Facebook, or you can just keep listening. I'm really glad that you guys are listening. So until next time.